Today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that everybody has had a great week, and I hope you're all looking forward to a fantastic weekend. Welcome, Fuang. Hi, Silviana. Chayani, we have some new members. That's great. Silviana, good to meet you as well. Carolina, welcome our chat moderator. Students, this is a members chat class. Everybody is welcome to watch. There's lots of learning for the IELTS reading in this class. And we're reading about an interesting topic, why some people have red hair. IELTS reading, whether it's academic or general, they have lots of different topics to choose from. They always seem to come up with some original ideas for the reading topics. So be ready for just about any topic. We will have a subscribers chat class coming up after this class in about 2 hours. That will be listening. We will be practicing for listening parts 1 and 2 using our websites. The materials for this class are also from our academic IELTS website. To get all of our exams, audio materials, and support materials that we use for these live lessons, definitely check out aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com. That's our academic IELTS website. For general IELTS reading materials, it's gieltshelp.com. Both of those websites have tons and tons of materials to help you pass the IELTS. Academic website looks like this with the blue background. You can click this big red button there just above my head. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and you get all the materials for these live classes. We are an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center. I'm a certified British Council agent, so you are in excellent hands with us. General IELTS, it's the green background, gieltshelp.com. Reading section and task 1 of the writing is quite different for general IELTS. So we separate students into these two. We don't mix them. It makes sense. This is gieltshelp.com. Click that big red button there to join the premium package, and you are good to go. We have apps, of course, that are very useful to connect with the websites. Check that out. The apps are Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. On the website, not on the app, but on the website, you can use this discount code HISTORY99 for a 10% discount. And you can click the link in this class's description to use that discount. So that's the easiest way. If you have questions about IELTS reading or about other parts of the IELTS or the English language, send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. All right. Students, classes, again, we've got reading, listening for you today, and then tomorrow we have speaking part 2 and speaking part 3, so make sure you join for that. Practice your speaking, and then always check out new videos. We'll have a new video coming out for you within the next 24 hours. Here's the one from last week. If you're following all of the live classes and you're checking out all the new videos that we're putting on YouTube, and of course we're putting them on the websites as well, and you're following the materials on the website, you will not only improve your English, but you will greatly improve your communication skills for school, for work, for life, and you're going to see some fantastic benefits and changes where people will understand you better. People will do what you ask them more. You will achieve your goals faster. And you'll just have an overall better life satisfaction. Just remember, humans are social beings. And what connects, what links us all is the way that we communicate with each other. And that's, of course, the global language English, and, of course, in your own language as well. So All right. Joao, nice. I was wondering if somebody would make a mention of that. Joao says, loved the thumbnail of the stream. Yeah, I put a little bit of red cartoony hair on myself. I thought that would be kind of funny and fun at the same time. All right, so let's jump to our reading for the day. Here it is. So the topic here is why do some people have red hair? Now, when you see the title in IELTS, always read it, okay? I think there's still some people who just kind of skip the title of the passage. It's a bad idea because the title is, I mean, it's important. It's basically the ultimate summary of the reading, right? So why do some people have red hair? And this title in particular, it's a question. And it's probably because it's it wants the reader to think about the answers. It's a bit provocative. It's like, do you know why people have red hair? Carolina thought that was pretty funny. Awesome. Yeah. So that's what I would look like with red hair. I think I have some of that going on in me anyway. Like if you actually saw my hair in the sunlight, it's got a little bit of a brownish reddish tint. It looks black or darker on the video, but it's not. I've got a kind of like a medium brown, the reddish tint. Okay, so why do people, like, what do you think? And when you think about the answer, it helps your brain to understand the reading, okay? Especially in the academic. So, Chen, Amra, Silviana, our latest and greatest member. Why do you think people have red hair? Raquea, what do you think? Harpreet says to look attractive. Maybe. Okay, so Harpreet, why not, right? So according to Harpreet, the answer is so that they look attractive. Yeah, I mean, evolution, that's got to be a part of it, right? Joao says, I think it has to do with genetics. It's likely to do with genetics. Yeah, so genes, genetics, right? It's a good word to know. Heredity, Chayani, very good. Genetics, also you can think about it like heredity. Heredity is what we inherit. From parents, genes. Yeah. Okay, sure. All right. But why would the parents have it? So always think one step further. And this is the trick, right? Because I think in some other IELTS courses, the teachers say this as well, like try to answer the title, try to think about the title, try to predict, right? The trick to understand the passage even more, okay, or better, is to think one step further. Should have made the think big too. Think one step further. Think beyond the other person. Think one step further. What do I mean by that, right? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean think one step further? I mean, think deep. Go deep. Okay, so think deep. Think one step further. Like, here, I would say another question. Why do their parents have red hair? And why do their parents have red hair? So what I'm basically saying here, right, is what is the reason for this gene? Okay. Think about your science class. So understanding science and understanding basic science, okay? And this is kind of it's a good note here. So understanding and remembering high school science class for academic IELTS reading is very good. Okay, there's a lot of that content is connected to it, like genetics, right? When you're studying genetics. Raquea says because of gene mutation, right, Raquea? And I think Chen has taken it one step further. Chen says maybe it has something to do with adaptation for climate. Yeah, Chen, I like it. Good on you, Chen. You're thinking one step further. It is some kind of adaptive advantage, maybe for climate. Okay. Sorry. I have a frog in my throat. All right, all these flus and bugs going around. Right, so when we adapt, when we mutate, right, we mutate for some reason. It's not just by accident. So it's not by accident that we have different skin pigments and hair colors and eye shapes and eyelids and all kinds of differences among humans living in different parts of the world. It's not by accident. It's not like, oh, hey, I woke up one day and I had blue eyes. Ooh, magical. No, there's a reason, right? Nature doesn't truly have accidents, not in the long run anyway. Okay, so it's some kind of adaptive advantage, maybe for climate. Well, visualize, right? So good prediction, everyone, in the IELTS doesn't just mean you read the title and you think of something really quick. It actually means like using your critical thinking, right? So some people have red hair. Why do they have red hair? They get it from their parents, okay? It's a gene. It's a part of their genotype, their phenotype. They inherit it. But why? Why would they have that? Well, maybe it has something to do with climate. Visualize. So when you visualize, where do you see people with red hair? Okay, this is a tip. All right, so visualize. Where do you see people with red hair? Where do they live traditionally? Amra, very good. Amra says in the north. Okay, and what's in the north? Yeah, in the north parts of Europe, Scandinavian countries, cold places. Raquea says in the mountains. They're mountain people, Raquea. People who have red hair are mountain people. It's kind of true, Raquea. I'm poking fun, but it's kind of true. You're kind of right. Okay. Silviana says Scotland. Right. And what's the weather like in Scotland and in the Scandinavian countries, members? What's the weather like? Well, if you're doing lots of critical thinking and lots of visualization, right, and you're being a scientist, Chen says maybe they are with the Yetis, then you realize they live in places that are cold, rainy, and cloudy. So maybe red hair has something to do with sunlight. Dun, 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 right? And you may think it impossible to get to this conclusion or this thought, but it's not, okay? It's not. You also think of other kinds of ideas that connect with this, right? And you probably realize that, oh yeah, people with red hair tend to have very pale skin or very fair skin. We also say fair or pale skin. And get sunburned very easily. Right? So before you start reading, students, see it. Okay, visualize it. Think about it critically. Especially if the reading seems very difficult, spend a half a minute thinking about this, because it's going to help you understand the passage. It's going to help you to get more answers correct on your IELTS. Okay, so don't just jump right into the reading. Okay, now this is the second reading passage from our second exam book. So let's read this. Let's listen to an English reader, and let's read it, and then we'll read it together. Okay, and then we'll answer some questions, members. So we're going to do this passage together. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to show you how this works. So let's hop over to the website. We'll jump right in. This is the academic website. Again, you can click this big red button here to join the premium IELTS package. For those of you who are watching, you can click the link in the video description to get the premium package. Okay, and then when you're in your My Student account, you click on the audio CDs, and this is CD 4 because it's our fourth exam. And it is reading passage 2, so it's going to be track 6. Here we go, everybody. Let's read the passage together. Read it aloud if you can. So actually read loudly with this reader if you can, okay? Here we go.
Why do some people have red hair? Red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa, and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common.
Let me start that again for you. So
in some countries, such as in South America, why do some people have red hair? Red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa, and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries, such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, also show high incidences of red hair. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, if not far longer. There are ancient Greek accounts of redheads, and even ancient Egyptian ones. The story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. The gene for red hair is what is known as a recessive gene, which means that the gene can only be passed down to the next generation if both parents possess the gene, and even then the probability is only 25%. But it is important to note that not only redheads carry the gene for red-headedness. Rather, in some countries, up to 40% of the population carries the gene. This accounts for the birth of a red-headed child to non-red-headed parents. The parents may not be red-headed themselves, but they carry the gene. And if their ancestry was to be analysed, there would surely be redheads up and down their family tree. The specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin-1 receptor, MC1R, and was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair, along with the other tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin and myriad freckles, for example. But why did people ever have red hair in the first place? The answer, some scientists think, has to do with evolution and geography. The places where red hair is relatively common, Northern Europe and Western Europe, have lower sunshine levels than other parts of the world. This lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D production in its inhabitants, exposure to the sun being humans' main source of the nutrient, which can result in rickets, a condition which can lead to the deformity of bones. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to the low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. On one hand, this results in a particular predisposition to sunburn. However, it also allows redheads to avoid rickets even when underexposed to the sun. Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R gene. First, they have a higher tolerance for pain than non-redheads. Studies have shown that redheads require up to 20% more anesthesia for sedation than non-redheads. Second, redheads are more sensitive to cold temperatures. This is especially curious because red-headedness originally developed as an adaptation for cold, sun-poor environments. Evolution is not perfect, and it may be the case that maladaptation to cold temperatures is the price redheads pay for adaptation to low levels of sunlight. Third, redheads bruise more easily than non-redheads. There does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotype of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. This is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed redheads throughout the centuries. At times in history, redheads have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean and soulless. Today, these stereotypes have thankfully given way to more cheery stereotypes of redheads as fun and quirky individuals. In recent years, a perception has been created that redheads are dying out and will eventually become extinct as a genetic category. This is patently false. Red hair, as a recessive gene, has the ability to skip generations and return in full force. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, perhaps as many as 100,000 years, and there are no signs of its forthcoming extinction. While redheads may make up a shrinking percentage of the world's population due to higher growth among non-European populations, the redhead gene is here to stay.
All right,
The aesthetic
everyone.
merit of abstract art.
So that is the reading. Students, especially those of you who do have access to the premium IELTS package, make sure you use these reading audios. They're all found in your audio CD sections for all of the 6 available exams. So you have 18 of them, okay? Make sure to use them. Amra says, interesting passage. Romelia says, I have. Good, Romelia. That's fantastic. Members, we're going to read this together now and just practice our reading, discuss the content of each paragraph briefly. I love doing this with you. So when you're in your My Student account here, after you logged in, please click on the Student Partner Speaking. That's just right there above my head. And then volunteer to read. So Silviana, get in there, volunteer. Lamia, Chayani, Chen, we've got lots and lots of members with us today, so I want to see lots of volunteers. Just read. Reading is so important, especially reading aloud. Not many people do it, or not enough anyway. But it's really important for pronunciation, practice, grammar, fluency. All right. So again, go to the website, log in, and then click on Student Partner Speaking. And there you are. And then just send me Silviana. I see you in there too. So Raquea, it's very nice, member and a premium student. So I want you to all to volunteer and read. Raquea, let's start with you. You're there. You're ready to go, it seems like. Romelia, you as well. Fantastic. Yes, you can. Thank you for sending me the message, Raquea. Here we go.
Hello,
Hi, Raquea. How is your day?
I am doing great. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. I'm doing all right. Okay,
Okay.
Raquea, we'll get right into it. So, are you ready
Okay.
to read?
Yes, I am.
Okay, here we go. So, I'm going to read the title, Why Do Some People Have Red Hair? And you can start from red hair is an exceedingly rare trait as soon as you see it on the screen.
Yes. Okay. Red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa, and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, also show high incidences of red hair. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, if not far longer. There are ancient Greek accounts of red heads and even ancient Egyptian ones. The story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography.
That is fantastic reading. If you can read that fast, you will have no problem getting a good score, as long as you understand what you're
Thank you.
reading. Raquea, so
Yeah.
what is this introductory paragraph about? So this is the introduction. What is it telling us? What's the main point here?
I think it is about red hair region where it is found.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's mostly telling us where it's common, where it's not common. Not so common in Asia, but found in
Yeah.
places like Scotland, Western Europe, and places where people went to from Western Europe, like United States, Canada, right? Okay,
Yes.
Raquea, another very important question, and everybody must ask this question when you're doing the reading passages in the IELTS. This is very important, okay? What is this
Yes.
question, Raquea? What sentence? Let me ask you this a little bit differently. What sentence do we have to pay special attention to in the introduction? There's a very
In
special
the in
sentence.
the last the story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography.
That's right. What is that sentence called in writing?
It's called thesis sentence.
That's right. You're my helper today. You're it. That's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. That's your thesis statement. Yeah, very good. You identified that. Can you tell why it's super important to pay very special or extra attention to that thesis statement?
Because we are going to discuss these points in the body paragraph.
Exactly, in this order, most likely, right? So probably the author will
Yeah,
talk about genetics first,
genetics. Yeah,
then evolution,
evolution,
mm-hmm,
and then geography,
and then
and then
geography. Mm-hmm.
geography.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Right. So if you have, when you're looking at the questions after, that that's the organization of the essay, right? Brilliant.
Yes,
So
yes,
smart. So
yes,
smart.
yes.
Super helpful. You're doing a great job today. Thank you. You
Thank
answered
you.
every question I had, Raquea. That was brilliant. Thank you so much for reading the introduction.
Okay, you are most welcome, sir.
Thank
Have
you.
a good
Have a
day.
nice you too. Bye, Raquea. Thumbs up for Raquea. That was fantastic. That was like she was my teacher assistant there. That was great. Give her a thumbs up. Okay, Romelia, I think you were second, so let's give you a shot at the next paragraph. Are you ready? All right. And for all of our viewers, join our membership on YouTube. Get premium access to our websites. Then you'll have lots of fun like this. Romelia, good, you're ready. All right, here we go. Hi, Romelia.
Hi.
How are you on this lovely Friday afternoon? I guess it's for you. Evening,
Yeah,
almost.
the weekend upcoming. pretty well. Why not?
Sure. All right, let's do this. So you should see the next paragraph on your screen, starting with the gene for red
Yeah,
hair.
if you can put it up.
Yeah, it's coming. You'll see it as soon as you're ready.
Okay. Okay. May I start reading?
Yes, please do.
The gene for red hair is what is known as a recessive gene, which means that the gene can only be passed down to the next generation if both parents possess the gene. And even the probability, it's only 25%. But it's important to note that not only redhead carry the gene for redheadness. Rather, in some countries, up to 40% of the population carries the gene. This accounts for the birth of red-headed child to non-red-headed parents. The parents may not have red-headed themselves, but they carry the gene, and if their ancestry was to be analyzed, there would surely be redheads up and down their family tree.
Good, Romelia. You know, Romelia, that was fantastic. I'll tell you why. So I can tell that you're pushing yourself to read faster than possible. And that's good practice. We have a lesson in the course on the website, which is called Power Reading. And one of the steps in Power Reading is to push yourself to read faster than possible, because that way you increase your reading speed. So you don't necessarily pay attention to understanding at that point, but you're just really focusing on building speed. Like in this next paragraph here, the specific gene for is called one receptor and was discovered in 95 by Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh.
You know why? Because I'm
So
passionate about pronunciation, British pronunciation, and that's why I want to sound very fluent.
So it's good. It's good to force speed. It's good to force speed. That's great. Okay, now let's see how much you understood. So what was this? What was this paragraph mostly about?
About the gene involved in the process of.
Yeah, the gene, right? Which is no surprise because, as Raquea elegantly said, the author will talk about genetics according to the thesis statement. And sure enough, the author does. So it's about the gene. And what is interesting about this gene for redheads? What do we find out in this paragraph about this?
That can pass only one generation further.
Not quite. That it's a recessive
it's
gene.
found in another situation, not only for rednesses. Yeah.
Yeah, what's important to know about this gene for red hair is
Yeah.
that it's recessive, right? It's a recessive gene.
I know, I studied genetics.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. And in that case, can you tell us what is the opposite of the recessive gene, or what is the counterpart of the recessive gene?
Yeah, but I don't know how to tell in English, and I don't know how to.
Well, here is a learning
dominant,
opportunity. Yeah,
dominant
that's right.
gene.
It is. See, you do know. And you know, this brings me to another important point. Students, don't be so quick to say I don't know. Okay, our brain knows.
Yeah,
a lot
I was in doubt about my
information.
English, not about my biology, genetics.
Right,
knowledge.
but you said I don't know, and then you realize, oh, it's called a dominant gene. So you did know, okay? You do know. A lot of times you know much more than you think you know. So that's another interesting part of our brain, as we sometimes doubt ourselves, but there's no need. So yeah, recessive gene, and then the opposite is the dominant gene. Dominant genes have a 75% chance of being passed on. Recessive genes have a 25%. I shouldn't say passed on. We pass them all on, but we have what's called the phenotype. The phenotype are the genes that we express, that we show in our physical behavioral characters, and dominant genes have 75% chance of being shown in the phenotype. Recessive genes have a 25% chance. So, okay, Romelia, I think you got it. That's kind of, you know, the most important part here. It's a gene, it's recessive, it goes on, but it's not a strong one. It doesn't always show itself, right? So that's the key here. All right, Romelia, keep practicing. Check out, have you seen that part of the course in the your premium course called Power Reading?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have to check it.
Yeah, check the reading section. it's here in the full online course. And if you go to the reading section here, I think it's going to be either maybe B or C, and it's going to be called Power Reading. It teaches you how to read, building your fluency and building your comprehension, and then putting the two together. It's a really cool exercise that was created by psychologists. I didn't invent it, but it works very, very well. So check that out, okay?
Okay.
All right, Romelia, thank you. Continue to have a great Friday, and we'll talk more in a bit, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye, Romelia. All right, Chayani, you are here. You are ready. Are you ready? We will answer questions as well, students, but of course, in order to answer questions, you have to understand the passage. For all of you watching, in order to do a good job on IELTS, get a band 7, get a band 8, you need to understand at least 60% of what you're reading, okay? If you don't understand at least 60%, you're going to be in trouble, all right? Okay. Thanks for all the thumbs up, everybody. That's fantastic. Chayani, here we go. Thanks for all the thumbs up, everybody. That's fantastic.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Chayani.
Yeah.
How are you?
How are you, sir?
I am doing all right. How are you?
I'm pretty well. Thank you.
Pretty well is kind of strange English, Chayani. Let's try that again. I'm quite well.
I'm quite well.
Quite well. Yeah, it's better. Okay, Chayani, here we go. Are you ready? You should see the next paragraph coming up here, starting with the specific gene.
Okay, I'm ready.
Go for it.
The specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin-1 receptor, MC1R, and was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair, along with other hereditary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin, and mild freckles, for example. But why did people ever have red hair in the first place? The answer, some scientists think, has to do with evolution and geography, the places where red hair is relatively common. Northern Europe and Western Europe have lower sunshine levels than other parts of the world. This lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D production in its inhabitants, exposure to the sun being humans' main source of the nutrient, which can result in crickets, a condition which can lead to the deformity of bones. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. On one hand, this results in a particular predisposition to sunburn. However, it also allows redheads to avoid rickets even when underexposed to the sun.
Lovely. That was really good. That was really fast. You don't actually need to read that fast in the IELTS, okay? You can read a little bit slower. Just make sure you understand a lot of what you're reading. But for practice and practicing at home, that's really smart. And by the way, everybody, when you get to university, or if you're planning to go to school, especially masters in Canada, US, UK, Australia, you do need to read as fast as Chayani just read when you're doing your studies. Otherwise, you'll never be able to read all the materials that you have to read. Okay, so you should work on that. That was really nice, fast reading. Couple of good points, Chayani. I love how you didn't get stuck on some tricky words. You just kind of read them however and then kept reading. Like this one here, the word tertiary. Okay, can you read that for me? Tertiary.
Tertiary.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's like tertiary, right? Do you know what that word means, tertiary?
It's kind of like strange for the biology word.
It's not a biology word. It's a number. It's a sequencing word. The predecessor to it is secondary. Okay, so it's like firstly, secondary, tertiary. So it's basically like first, second, third. Tertiary means the third attribute, so the third level of attributes associated with red hair include pale skin. So it's like other attributes, right? But it's not that important of a word, and it's not going to be an answer to any questions, I don't think. Sometimes people think when they read a really tricky word, it's going to be an answer, but no, in this case, it's just a word that they're using. So what was this paragraph about?
I think this is talk about the discovery of the redhead and where the place mostly the foreign people found the red-headed person.
I would disagree with you. So if we were sitting and reading this together, I would say, no, Chayani, I don't agree with you. I agree that, okay, it talks about the specific gene, the melanocortin 1 receptor, which they abbreviate to the MC1R. So yes, they do talk about that, but there's some other really important information here. What is it? It's kind of found in this second half of the paragraph here. There's some really key information to this passage, and that will most likely be parts of the questions as well and the answers. So take a look at that. What do you think it is?
The side effect of the redheads.
Not just the side effects, but something other than that, something that's really important. And Domenico, you just joined, Silviana, Fuang, you can answer in the chat as well, Tan. So these questions aren't just for the readers. I'm also looking at the chat to see who else understood the paragraph. And yeah, Romelia says primary, secondary, tertiary. Yes, thank you, Romelia. It's not first, it's primary. You're right.
Oh, I got one. I think it was the list of vitamin D.
Okay, now you're on track. So what happens when we don't have enough vitamin D?
Like,
It's right there.
I think I'm getting.
It's right there. Right there. And this one repeats a couple of times. I saw it here as well. Okay, so you should be able to see them. I'm putting little boxes around the keywords there. Okay.
Deformity of bones.
Yeah, we get a very, very terrible sickness called rickets, and our bones deform, and of course that would lead to death in many cases as well. So vitamin D is extremely important. So this paragraph, okay, is telling us the reason for this gene. So who was it? Harpreet, I think, that said red-hairedness is to look attractive, but it's maybe not firstly to look attractive. It's so that we absorb more vitamin D. It's a secondary result of absorbing vitamin D. So it's kind of the reason for red hair. That's what this paragraph is about, and it's very important that you understand this. If you don't, you have to read the paragraph again, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, so again, just repeat after me. What is this paragraph about?
This paragraph talk about the deformity of bones because of the lack of vitamin D.
No, repeat after me, Chani. Just the question. What is this paragraph about?
Sorry, sir?
Just repeat the question after me. So word for word, repeat me, verbatim. What is this paragraph about?
What is paragraph about?
It is about characteristics connected to red hair.
The characteristic connected to the red hair.
Such as pale skin.
Such as pale skin.
Freckles.
Freckles.
But most importantly, absorbing more sunlight.
But most importantly, absorbing the sunlight.
To produce vitamin D.
To produce vitamin D.
To avoid rickets.
To avoid rickets.
A very dangerous disease.
A very dangerous disease.
Okay, that's what you have to understand. If you do not understand this concept or most of these concepts from this paragraph, you have to read it again, okay? Because otherwise you will have some difficulties answering questions and you're going to spend a lot of time searching for answers, and we don't want that, okay? All right, makes sense?
Okay.
Okay, so Chayani,
Makes
what I want you to do, if you have the chance, what I want you to do you have a study partner? Like, do you have somebody that you can practice your IELTS with sometimes?
Yeah. There's I'm
Yeah.
kind of invite my friends in the other platform like Facebook or Instagram, but they are ready to join my practice because of the difficultness of reading.
Okay, well, it's good to find study partners. So I'm going to give a tip to everybody. Of course, you can talk to each other here. So you can find, partners in our live classes here and on the websites as well. There's also the Discord group that we are partners with, and it's completely free. They're called IELTS Prep on Discord, and it's like 8,000 IELTS students. It's IELTS Prep on Discord, okay? And you can definitely find people there. It's more fun to practice reading in groups, and you learn a lot from each other, okay? So I highly, highly, highly recommend doing not just speaking, but also, for example, reading, listening, writing practice in groups as well, okay?
Okay.
All right. And Carolina in the chat saying, we encourage premium users to contact each other for IELTS practice. Absolutely. Learning in groups is fun. Okay, Chani? So practice it. And so what you can do is read the same paragraph with your partner and then ask each other questions and talk about it like this. Okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Adrian. Have a great day.
You too. Bye, Chayani. All right. There you go. Chayani. Thank you. Okay. Let's see who else is volunteering. Fuang, our member, is volunteering. Yes, you can, Fuang. Yes. Are you ready? So this is a members chat class. I'm also looking at premium students if our members are not volunteering, but I see lots of members volunteering, which is nice to see. Okay. Fuang, you in there? You ready? Yes, cool. Awesome. Here we go. All right. Let me call you before I get ahead of myself here. Hi, Fuang.
Hi, sir.
How is the start to your weekend so far?
Well, I'm a little bit exhausted with my final examination of my university, but I'm a positive person, so I'm full of energetic.
Okay. Do you have your marks already for those exams?
No, I haven't take the IELTS yet.
No, I mean for your school exams, right? That you just mentioned.
Maybe in the next 2 weeks, I will receive my result.
Okay, I bet you're going to do fantastic. You're a hardworking student. Okay, so here we go. I've brought up the next paragraph. Go ahead and read it, starting from redheads also have, whenever you're ready.
Okay, sir. Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R genes. First, they have a higher tolerance for pain than non-redheads. Studies have shown that redheads require up to 20% more anesthesia for sedation than non-redheads. Second, redheads are more sensitive to cold temperature. This is especially curious because redhead is originally developed as an adaptation for a cold, poor environment. Evolution is not perfect, and it may be the case that maladaptation to cold temperature is the right redhead made for adaptation to low level of sunlight. Third, redheads grew more easily than non-redheads. There does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait. Though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotype of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads.
Awesome, Fong. Good. Nice speed. I like how you kind of read through some of those tricky words. Let's practice the pronunciation of those. So, anesthesia.
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 Anesthesia is putting someone to sleep. So when we go for surgery or some kind of medical treatment where they have to do some tricky, difficult procedure, then they give us a needle so that we sleep through it and we don't feel the pain. It's called anesthesia. The person who does that, the special doctor, is called an anesthesiologist. Try that one, Fong. Anesthesiologist.
Anesthesia psychologist.
Not a psychologist, it's just an anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist.
Very good. Anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist.
Good. Very nice. Sedation.
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 Very nice. Sedate.
Sedate.
Yeah, sedate is the verb. Okay. Sedate basically means to put to sleep. Okay. To put to sleep. Sedate. Okay, good. So you just read through those. That was really good, Fuang. You didn't stop, and that's what you should do in the real test as well. You shouldn't stop for difficult to pronounce words. Okay, what is this paragraph about, Fuang?
Well, I guess this paragraph is about the region, like the environment where the people have redhead live.
Okay. Can you give me a specific example?
Like poor environment.
Not quite. If you're stuck, Fong, read the topic sentence. So the topic sentence will contain the concept of the paragraph, and this is especially true for body paragraphs. So just read this very first sentence, please, again.
Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R gene.
Yeah, so if we really want it to be simple, we would say other curious attributes associated with the MC1R gene. So it's other kind of strange or interesting attributes, characteristics that are related to being a redhead, right? Like not going to sleep as easily. So if somebody has red hair and they go to the doctor and the doctor has to perform surgery, they have to give them more drugs to make them fall asleep. That's one of the interesting characteristics. Also, they're sensitive to cold temperatures. That's another characteristics, okay? So this paragraph is about these other attributes that are related. One really good practice, Fong, and this is for everybody when you're at home and you're practicing for the IELTS exam and the reading, is when you read a paragraph, you can turn it into a bullet point, okay, like this. So other attributes of MC1R or redhead, okay, are... and then, getting out of control here, are, and then more bullets. So, for example, sensitive to cold, resistant to anesthetics. There was another one in there. Do you remember another one that it said in there? Another interesting trait? So they're sensitive to cold. They don't go to sleep as easily with medical treatment. There was another one in there, Fuang. Do you remember what it was? It was kind of an interesting one.
Okay, sir. I paid attention on YouTube. What you are typing on the screen?
Yeah. And what was another trait? So what was another interesting? Yeah, Silviana, you're right. So Silviana says they bruise more easily, right? So they bruise more easily. Do you know what it means to bruise, Fuang?
Hmm.
The word bruise. Do you know what that means?
Pen.
Bruise is when you hit yourself and your skin turns blue. So if you accidentally hit your hand on the desk and then where you hit your hand it turns blue underneath your skin, that's called a bruise in English. Okay? So it's like when you're bleeding, but the bleeding is underneath the skin. It's called a bruise. Bruise. Okay? Do you want to pronounce that with me? Bruise.
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 I got a bruise after I kicked my bed this morning. It was really painful.
I got a bruise when I kicked the bed in the morning, and it was painful.
Okay, good. So that's how you can remember it, by creating a sentence, okay? All right, Fuang, thank you so much for reading the paragraph. Again, same advice as with Chayani. If you're not 100% sure what the paragraph was about, read the topic sentence and read the paragraph again, okay?
Okay, sir. Have
All
a
right.
good day.
You too. Thanks for reading, Fuang. All right, let's give Fuang a thumbs up. And Silviana, great answer with the bruise. You said you'd like to volunteer. Are you ready? Here we go. We've got a little bit more left in the passage, and then we're on to the questions. Yes, Chen, I know we've all done it. We've all kicked the bed, and we've all bruised ourselves, especially our toe. Ooh, when we get that bruise underneath the toenail. Ouchie. That'll remind you of the word bruise, right? Silviana, here we go.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Silviana. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
How about you?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you, Silviana. Thanks for becoming a member. You're a new member, and it's lovely to have you. Can you tell us all where you're from?
I'm from Tangerang City in Indonesia.
In Indonesia. Awesome. And why are you doing the IELTS?
In the next year, I'm planning to work overseas. So I'm taking the IELTS exam next year.
Okay, so for working overseas, may I ask where you're planning to work and what you're planning to do?
Perhaps either Canada or Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm in the animation industry. I'm working as a 3D animator.
Oh, cool. Okay, 3D animation movies. Everybody loves what you do. We all watch those movies for sure. So that's exciting.
Thank you.
I think Carolina might have special interest because Carolina's into graphics and animation as well, our chat moderator. So you guys might have some topics to discuss at some point. Okay, Silviana, whenever you're ready, I've brought up the last couple of paragraphs. Just read them both, please.
Okay. This is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed red hats through the centuries. At times in history, red hats have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean, and soulless. Today, these stereotypes have thankfully given way to more cheery stereotypes of red hats as fun and quirky individuals. In recent years, a perception has been created that red hats are dying out and will eventually become extinct as a genetic category. This is patently false. Red hair as a recessive gene has the ability to skip generations and return in full force. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, perhaps as many as 100 and 1,000 years, and there are no signs of its forthcoming extinction. While red hats make up a shrinking percentage of the world's population due to higher growth among non-European populations, and the red hat's gene is here to stay.
Nice. Okay, so that is absolutely fast enough for the IELTS to get a high band score, even a band 9. As long as a person can read the IELTS passage within about 7-8 minutes and have about 12 minutes for the questions, which means you have basically like a minute per question, you should be able to get a very good score. And that speed, Silviana, is actually faster. You'll probably read the passage in about 6 minutes, okay? What's most important is that you understand it. So if you understand, let's say 60% of the passage this way, then maybe read a little bit slower, like 10-15% slower. Spend 8 minutes reading the passage. If that helps you understand 80% of the passage, then that's better, right? Okay. So this little short paragraph here, the first one that you read, what was that about?
It's about the stereotype
Absolutely.
about red hats.
What's a stereotype?
Like people point of view.
Yeah, it's a subjective point of view, right? So we come up with this kind of idea that's not really necessarily scientific, but we just kind of believe it, and then we believe that all people who have that or who do that are this way, right? And what are some of those stereotypes?
It's about things like red hats have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean, and soulless.
Yeah, it's terrible. How about today? Do we still have these ideas that redheads are witches?
Perhaps in a movie.
Not only in the movies, right? But now, what do we think about redheads these days?
I think it's not in a negative anymore.
Yeah, we think they're kind of cheery and fun people. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's an animation with that girl that has really big red hair. It's called River Dance or something like that.
Yeah, from Disney, is it?
Yeah.
Brave. Yeah.
Brave, that's it. See, you are in animation. All right, Sylvia. You knew it better than me. Yeah, it's called Brave. Brave, yes, the girl with the big red hair. Okay, and this final concluding paragraph, what is that about?
It's the conclusion that the red hats has the ability to skip generations.
Simplify.
And they can live more.
All right, so it sounds like you're having a bit of difficulty with it, which is absolutely okay. The conclusion is sometimes a good paragraph to reread in the IELTS. There's usually 1 or 2 questions, and it's usually the last questions in the set of questions. So when you have like 13 or 14 questions, usually the last couple of questions deal with the conclusion, the concluding paragraph. And so it's a good idea to reread it, especially because it's usually a short paragraph. And in this case, if you were to reread it, you would discover that the conclusion is about this idea that redheads are disappearing in the world, but the author is saying that this is not actually the case. It's just that they seem to be relatively fewer in numbers, but they're not disappearing. They've been around for a long time, and they will be around for a long time. So that's what it says. Okay, Silviana. All right, okay. Silviana, again, welcome to the group of members. Make sure to use the website often. If you have questions, you can ask me, send me an email. You can ask your peers in the class as well. I'm sure they'll happily answer questions for you, or Carolina. And good studies will all help you to achieve your goals of going to another country and being an awesome animator, okay?
Okay, I'm a little bit nervous actually today because this is my first time. But thank you, sir.
Absolutely, that's very understandable. Tomorrow we'll have lots of speaking practice, so come back for that as well, okay? All right, bye, Silviana.
Thank you.
All right, lovely to have new members join in. Okay, so now we're going to get to some questions. Do we have more members to help me out with the questions here? Thumbs up, please, everybody, for Silviana. It's always a very anxious time, first time volunteering. I'm sure many of our members recall the first time that you volunteered and how it was a bit of a nervous moment. So support each other. That's great. All right. Well, I'm not sure, Prerna, if you are a member, you got to let me know in the chat. Maria, in the meantime, maybe can help me with some questions. Maria, are you ready? Maria's a premium student, which is nice to see. We have some other premium students in here too. That's great. Domenico, Jaco, fantastic. Let's go up for Maria first. Maria, are you ready to answer some questions maybe with me? Of course, everybody wants to know, what are the questions for this passage? How do we answer them? Let's do it. Maria, yes.
Hello,
Hi, Maria.
how are you?
I am doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic because it's my first time joining you.
Oh, really? Okay. And where are you joining from?
I'm from Belarus.
From Belarus. And you're a premium student, so you are ambitious, which is great. I'm here to help you. And why are you doing the IELTS?
I will sit IELTS on the 14th of December. It's soon, and I sit the exam for taking my master's degree, Erasmus Mundus.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't catch that last bit. Master's degree for what?
If you know Erasmus Mundus,
Erasmus
this
Mundus. Yes,
program.
yes. I got you now. I couldn't catch it at first because I was like, what word? I thought it was a foreign word there for a second. Well, it is Latin, but anyway. Okay. All right. Well, let me help you on that journey. That's awesome. So let's get to the questions here. Have you been following the class from the beginning, more or less?
More or less, I was.
Okay. All right. Then this is a sentence completion type question, and you have to choose no more than 2 words from the passage. Now, in the real IELTS, these should be the exact words from the passage. So for this type of question, it's good to check. But before you check, so your first step should not be to just search for it. It should be to think about the answer on your own. So we'll go to number 14 here. Whenever you're ready, read question 14 with the blank. And if you know the answer, if you think you know what should go in there, just put it in.
Red hair is common in countries from Western Europe.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'll give you a tip here. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of help here. These questions usually come in the order of the passage, so that means that the answer for this is coming from somewhere in the beginning. And I have a feeling you'll find it very quickly if you start searching, but you'll find it even faster and you'll have more confidence in your answer if you can figure out what this word is. What you want to do is pay attention to the word that's preceding the blank and the word that's succeeding or coming after the blank, especially in this case, this from Western Europe. Okay, so red hair is common, something from Western Europe. What makes sense? What word makes sense to put in there?
Historical immigration.
Yeah. Even just the word immigration, right? So very good. And now what are those? So just for fun, what are countries that have historical immigration from Western Europe?
As I remember, it's Canada as well.
Yeah, Canada,
And
US,
the US.
Australia, New Zealand, right? Has a big population coming from Western Europe, from the UK, from Scotland, from Scandinavia. Absolutely. And then in this case, once you have the answer, so you said historical immigration. Okay, then what you want to do, just to make sure that you get this point and you don't lose it for some strange reason, is now you know that you can actually skim read for that word, okay? So this is what's called skim reading with purpose. Okay, so you're not just randomly skim reading, but you're skim reading with purpose. So you know that you're looking specifically for this word, especially if you're doing the paper-based exam and you have to get the spelling correct. It's really important to check. So you go back to that part, and now you see this sentence here. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, right? And then you have the word here. So it's the most sure way to figure out that, okay, that's the right answer, that's the right spelling, I can put that in, and then it's going to be correct, okay? Now, in this case, just the word immigration would be enough, but to be sure, especially because it's 2 words, it's not a bad idea to put in historical immigration, okay? All right, let's try the next one, number 15. Can you read that one?
A gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it.
Okay, this one should be fairly easy.
It's short. I should put the short form of this gene or not?
Careful. Think really carefully about what the right answer is here. A something gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to. It's not the specific gene for red hair. So it doesn't say this is the specific gene for red hair, which can be. This is a. So it's not the, it's a. Always pay attention to the word that comes before and after. So a means it's one of many. So it's a common noun, right? So what's the word here? Try not to look at the chat because I'm sure a lot of people are trying to give you the answer right now.
I think it's recessive.
Yeah, exactly. How do you spell it?
R-E-S-S-E-S-S-I-V-E.
Yeah, it's R-E-C-E-S-S-I-V-E. So recessive, right? And again, you can check that, right? Now, let's say that you made that mistake that you did at the beginning, which was the MC1R. And you're right, you could do the acronym for the MC1R. It would be a wrong answer in this case. So that would be a wrong answer, right? The way that you can figure out, and somebody with your level of English, with your speed, okay, it's all about using correct strategy to make sure that you're not missing any marks. The trick is to read the question, okay, with the answer. So just read it with the MC1R from a. So a, and then read it with the MC1R, and then you'll see that it's wrong. Try it.
A recessive.
No, I'm sorry, I should be clear. So I mean, like reading it like this, like a MC1R gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation. Hopefully when you read it like that with the answer together, you realize like that sounds strange, that doesn't seem right. And then when you figure out the right answer, a recessive gene is one which can only be transmitted, then you're like, okay, that sounds correct. Do you see what I'm trying to show you here?
Yeah, that's awkward when I try to read it in my head, yeah.
You see, right? So a very important tip, and this is for everybody, is with these short answer questions, once you think you have the answer, one extra step, so one more step before you go to the next question, is just quickly read it. Read the sentence with your answer. Because if it sounds really awkward or strange, you've probably made a mistake and you have to rethink it. Okay, now if you're having troubles, leave the question with the wrong answer, maybe pull a line through it. And then when you have more time at the end of your passage, so let's say you have 1 minute left, you've given all the other answers, then you go back to that one and see if you can figure out what is the right answer. Do you see what I'm saying? With this? Okay, so that's the right strategy for this. Let's try number 16.
Evolution and are both causes of the origin of red hair. I don't really remember it.
Okay, fine. So you don't remember it. Okay, no worries. My goal here with you, Maria, and this is for everybody, is I'm showing you different strategies and tips that you can rely on during your IELTS exam. So what would you do in this case, Maria, in your IELTS exam? So you're like, okay, I don't remember what this is. I have to go and look for it. What would you do?
Look at the text. Skim.
Yeah. And what would you skim
answer.
for?
For the word?
Which word?
Evolution and...
Evolution. So I would skim specifically for evolution because it's a unique word, okay? Now, where would you skim for it?
In the middle, I think, of the text.
Yeah, exactly. So somewhere in the second third of the text, right? So let's go back kind of to the second third of the text. So I would probably start somewhere at the start of the third paragraph, maybe, right? Okay. So let's do that. So can you find the word evolution?
Yeah, evolution and geography.
Okay, where do you see it?
It's fifth, I think, line.
Okay.
Evolution and geography.
Yeah, skin and butt. People are what the answer some scientists think is evolution and geography. Right there, right? Oops, a little bit too much. Evolution and geography. Right there. Yeah, absolutely right. So the important point I'm trying to show everybody here is mindless skim reading wastes a lot of time. A lot of people, they say, 20 minutes is not enough for these passages. And it's because they're not using the right strategies. It's because they tend to, for example, start skim reading from the very beginning, or they don't know what word they're actually skim reading for. Now, skim reading you have to be careful with. You should only be skim reading for maximum 30 to 40% of the answers. About 60 to 70% of the answers, if you want to get that band 7, 8, 9, you should answer without skim reading. So here the answer, of course, is geography, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, let's do number 17. Are you ready? Go ahead and read that.
Yes. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes many to occur on the skin.
Okay, now if you know this word in English, you can get it right away. If you don't, you're going to have to check for it. What's the word? It's all those little specks. Some people think they're very cute when we have them, especially on our cheeks. Those little dots. Do you know what those are called, Maria? We get them usually on our nose and on our cheeks. Some people have them all over their face, but some people just have them on their cheeks and on their nose.
I know, but I forgot a word in English. I know it in Russian, but in English I forgot.
Because Russian people have them too, right? So people have freckles.
Freckles.
Yeah, like that. Freckles. Yeah, a few people in the chat got it. Freckles. So they have freckles. Okay, whenever you come across a new word, Maria, immediately put it into a sentence, okay? So you can put it into a sentence like, my best friend has freckles all over her nose and cheeks, and I think it's just so cute. Try it.
Try the sentence.
Yeah, just copy the sentence that I just said. My best friend has freckles all over her cheeks and nose, and I think it's just so cute.
My friend has freckles all over her cheeks, and it's cute.
Yeah. So you visualize it, you include yourself, you make it an interesting sentence, and then you'll remember it, right? So anytime you come across a new word, immediately put it into a sentence, say it, make it unique, make it personal, make it fun, make it emotional, and then you will remember it forever, okay? All right. Okay, Maria, so lots of tips there for you and for everybody else doing the reading for those types of questions. Keep studying, keep coming back to these live classes. You've got a little bit of time till you have your exam. Okay, so lots of study, all right?
Okay, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Maria, by the way, especially because your exam is so close, just a suggestion, I would recommend that you book one of these speaking interview practice sessions with me. It does cost a bit of money, but it might be a good idea coming up to your speaking exam so soon, okay? Just a thought, no pressure, all right?
Okay, I will sleep on it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, we'll talk again soon in class. Okay, bye, Maria. Thanks for volunteering.
Okay, bye.
All right. Oops. Sorry, Maria, that was me. Students, always practice new words. Put them into sentences, okay? Domenico, nice to have you volunteering. Also one of our members and premium students. Are you ready? Domenico will be actually the perfect candidate for the true, false, not given questions here. Because Domenico says, I came late to class, but even though I would like to join, and that's fantastic. You're going to see why. I'm going to do a fun experiment here with Domenico.
Hello.
Hi, Domenico. How are you?
I'm great. And how about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Domenico, so you came late to class, so you didn't have a chance to read this
Yeah,
passage,
I didn't
right?
get to read. I didn't get the chance to read the passage, so I just want to have a go.
Okay, you know what? That's great. Because this next question that we're looking at is the yes, no, not given, which is kind of like the true, false, not given kind of question,
Yeah,
right?
these are my favorite question types.
Awesome. Okay, and the reason why it's actually interesting that you did not read the passage is because these questions, a lot of them, you can actually figure out using really good logic. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
almost
you
like
have to put your critical thinking skills into action.
absolutely, and you might not even need to read some of the passage for this.
Yeah.
So let me show you what I mean, and I think you've done these with me before, so you have an idea. So can you read number 18 for me, please?
Excess sunshine causes rickets.
Okay, so rickets is a type of disease, right? Excess sunshine, what does that mean, excess sunshine?
So if you are exposed to the sun too much time, it can cause you to suffer from this disease.
Okay, good. So here's the first question that we need to ask, okay? When we see these yes, no, not given or true, false, not given questions, first we want to figure out if it's given or if it's not given. That's our first step, right? Because if it's not given, then we just move on. We don't worry about true or false or yes or no. So the first question that we ask is it important? So just ask the audience or ask us, is it important to understand this question about sunshine and rickets?
Well, rickets, in my humble opinion, it's important to understand what the disease rickets disease is all about. So excess sunshine, excess sunshine can cause the rickets. So
okay, let's slow down, Domenico. So you're saying it's important because from what you've been following, this having red hair is connected somehow to sunshine, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, so obviously it has to do not so much with having red hair, but protecting the human from this disease, from this ricket. So it's important, right? So we know it's important. Okay, so we know it's important, so we know that it must be given. Okay, so when we know it's important, we know it's given, now we have to figure out if it's true or if it's false. Or yes or no in this case, right? Okay, so now we look at the question carefully again. So too much sunshine. Is it true that if we get too much sunshine, we're going to get this disease called rickets?
Well, I would say, too much exposure to the sunshine can cause this disease. Yes, it's true.
I disagree with you, Domenico. I have to disagree. There's something else that happens if we get too much sunshine. What happens if we get too much sunshine? What can we get?
What we get burned.
We get sunburn, right? So, but it doesn't say sunburn.
Sunburn.
It doesn't say causes sunburn. It says causes rickets.
Yeah.
What does too much sunburn? If we get too much sunburn, what can happen? What kind of disease can we get?
Well, when you get a sunstroke, a kind of stroke.
Yeah, you can get sunstroke from too much sun or heat from sun, but it says rickets. It doesn't say sunburn. It doesn't say sunstroke. And if we get too much sunburn all the time, we can even develop skin cancer, right?
Yeah, skin that kinds of spots on your
exactly.
skin.
But it doesn't say that, right? So rickets is something different, right? Rickets is not skin cancer.
Right,
rickets is not sunburn. It's none of these, right? Rickets is something different, and it doesn't happen from too much sunshine. It happens from not enough sunshine, right? So not enough vitamin D. So in this case, the answer is
false.
Yeah, it's no, absolutely. False or no, but don't put false. Put
It goes by genetic factors.
Yeah, it makes your bones it's actually a very harsh disease. It makes the bones all bend and go out of shape.
I kind of remember something that I studied at the university. So
Yeah. We all kind of remember these things, Domenico. Okay. So again, even if you're not 100% sure, and this is for everybody, so Domenico, I'm saying this to you, but I'm saying it to everybody else. If you're not 100% sure about what the passage had in it, yes, no, not given questions, you can actually do with a lot of critical thinking, as you said, Domenico. So you read the question, you figure out, okay, it's given. When you figure out that it's given, you're halfway there. Then you try to figure out if it's true or false. And you have to pay really careful attention. IELTS often has this, Domenico, where they give you the opposite. Like they say excessive sunshine. They purposefully kind of trick you with this opposite concept, causes rickets. And then you have to realize that, oh no, it's not excessive. It's too little sunshine. So not having enough vitamin D causes rickets, because vitamin D is very important for bone development. So that's why. All right, Domenico, thank you for helping me start off this true, false, not given. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, Adrian. You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Bye, Domenico. Have an awesome rest of the day. Bye. All right, that was Domenico. Give Domenico a thumbs up. He's over there in Sicily, in Europe. Absolutely. All right, everybody. So the yes, no, not given, right? That's how you do it. True, false, not given. That's how you do it. Let's take a look at this one together. Okay, so let's answer these ones in the chat. We're starting to run a little bit short on time. High amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Important? The amounts of eumelanin. Is it important, students? Answer these quickly. Let's speed up now a little bit. Is it important? Amounts of eumelanin absorbing vitamin D. Raquea says yes. I like the support for Domenico. That's good. Silviana, thank you. Raquea, I agree with you. It is. Yeah. Yes. So it's given, right? Should be. We saw that word in there somewhere. Is it true that high amounts of eumelanin is known to help vitamin D? I don't know. So I check. This is where I search for the word eumelanin. Okay. So I go, okay, well, maybe, right? That's one of the situations where students are like, well, Adrian, what if the answer is maybe? Like, I don't really know, right? So here, remember, 30 to 40% if you're looking for, it's fine. So here's the word eumelanin. I just found it. Okay, it's a very unique looking word, so I was able to skim read and check for it pretty quick. Okay, then I go and read the previous sentence. One of the side effects of MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin. I can't pronounce it. Eumelanin in their bodies. Okay, so easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin. So here, it's a tricky one. High amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. It's important, but the answer is no. That's right, Amra. Very good. The answer is no. Okay, so the first two are no and no. Redheads have difficulty adapting to their environment. Important. Hopefully all of you get this pretty quick. Is it important for the author to talk about the adaptation of redheads to their environment? Or their difficulties? No. It's not given. It doesn't say anywhere, so this is where you can think about what the author would write. It doesn't say anywhere that redheads have been known to have difficulties adapting to their environment. So it took millions of years for them to develop the MC1R gene. It didn't say that anywhere, right? The author doesn't discuss, it would be strange and unknown. So anytime you have strange, unknown facts, It is very likely not given. Okay. All right. Redheads are less physically capable than non-redheads. Is it true? No. Is it false? I don't think so. I don't know. This is, again, one I might check. There were those weird stereotypes, right? There does not seem to be an evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotypes of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. It's a negative stereotype, but it's not true. Okay? So again, this one could be false, could not be false. We don't know. The author doesn't give us this answer. It says it's a negative stereotype, but we don't know if it's true or not. So it's not a no. It's not given. The author doesn't say they are or they aren't. It just says that it's a stereotype, right? We don't know. You can only go off of the passage. So the answers here are no, no, not given, not given. It's not given because it's a negative stereotype, which means that it's not a good thing. You shouldn't say that about people with red hair, but the author doesn't actually say they are more physically capable or they're not more physically capable. Okay? So it's not given. For an answer to be given, it has to be explicit. The author has to say redheads are not as physically capable as people with other hair colors, or it has to say redheads are physically just as capable as people with any other hair color. In this case, they say it's a stereotype, but they don't say if it's true or not. I know it's kind of a tricky one, but the best answer is not given, and you're always looking for the best answer. All right, members, keep going. Answer these questions. Redhead misconceptions. I'll leave this one for homework for you, okay? Because we're out of time. And because it's good to do a bit of homework. So this I'll leave for homework. Check the passage again. Read it again. If you have questions, you can always send an email. And make sure to hang around for the next class, which will be listening. Again, we're going to use our website. So for all of our viewers, I highly recommend joining. Click that big red button at aehelp.com. Also that big red button at gieltshelp.com. Thank you to all of our new brave volunteers and members in this class. That was fantastic, Maria and Silviana. And thank you to everybody else who volunteered. We had lots of people speaking in this class. That was lovely. So I will be back in 30 minutes with listening part 1 and part 2 practice. Until then, check out the websites aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. We've got all the materials and help there for you. These are the support materials, textbooks for these live classes. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating and giving suggestions and advice. That's much appreciated. I hope to see you all back here in 30 short minutes. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria for now, and I will be back shortly. Bye.